Early in the spiritual exercises of St. Ignatius of Loyola, the person making the retreat, making the spiritual exercises, is introduced to a prayer, a contemplation of two standards. One is the standard of Jesus, the stratagem, the technique, the way of life introduced by Jesus of Nazareth. The other is the standard of the enemy. Let's call him the enemy of our human nature because he wants to trip us up. He wants to keep us from fulfilling who we are in our purpose in life, our fundamental purpose of knowing and loving and serving God and knowing the grace and freedom of God's children. Those two standards are incredibly important for us to understand and for us as Christians to apply to our lives. Let's look briefly at those two standards. Within the spiritual exercises, there's a great introduction to this contemplation and so much to pray about. But let's look just at the concept. It's easier for us to start with the strategy of the enemy. Riches, honor, and pride are the three steps. Now, riches doesn't always refer to material possessions. In fact, at its heart, the notion of riches refers to anything that allows us to say, look at me, look at what I have, look at what I can do. Now, yes, it can be material possessions, but more often than not for us, it's a physical trait. Look at my beauty, look at my handsomeness, look at my physical fitness, or it may be a talent. Look at the great voice that I have. Look at my ability to speak. Look at my good writing. Look at my intellect. Anything that says, look at me. Honor then takes that one step further. Indeed, look at me. Give me honor for what I have and what I can do. And once having attracted honor, it's a short step to pride. Pride is usurping the name of God and saying, I am. Riches is anything that we say, look at this, look at what I can do, look at what I have. Honor takes us to then look at me. And from look at me, I collect all of those honors and it becomes pride. I am. And if I say I am, taking the very name of God to myself, then I really am saying I don't need God. I can rely on myself. Well, that's the polar opposite in strategies from that of Jesus. You see, the strategy of Jesus is the opposite. It's not riches, honor, and pride. It's poverty, humility, and surrender. The poverty of Jesus is to say, I have nothing. Anything I have is given to me by God. And if I have it at all, if I possess it and use it, if it's within my grasp, it's only for me to have as a steward and not the owner. It doesn't make me who I am. If there is anything in me, I'm grateful to God because God has given it to me. And if there's something I don't have, I don't want to bring it to myself and cling to it. I want to let it go. It's not for me. It's not in God's plan for me. Poverty is to say, I have nothing. I have nothing to call my own, and anything I have is a gift of God, and I'm just grateful for it. The next step then is humility. You know, the word humility is related to the word humus, meaning dirt. It recognizes that you and I were formed from the dirt of the earth in the book of Genesis. God took that lump of clay from the earth, fashioned it into the human being, and breathed life into it. If I have breath, it's because God gave it to me. If I can breathe in and out, it's because I have the breath of God within me. Humility takes poverty to its next step in saying, if I have nothing other than what God gave me, then I am nothing in myself. I'm the humble servant of God who receives from the Lord, and I'm able to let go of all those things that aren't of the Lord, clinging only to the things God has given me to use for a time. The next step is surrender. Then, Lord, recognize all that I have is yours. You've given everything to me. I return it to you, to use as you will. This, in fact, is the great prayer of St. Ignatius at the end of the spiritual exercises, called the suscipe prayer, from the first word in Latin. Take, Lord, take, suscipe Domine, take, Lord, receive all that I have. You have given it all to me. I give it back to you. Use it only the way you want to use it. Take all my gifts, all my abilities. Take my freedom, my life. Take all that is in me and all that I have, Lord. I surrender it to you. You have given me all I need. I trust that you always will. And anything I have, Lord, use according to your will. I surrender, Lord, because I totally trust you.